Do you have safety joints in your stash but have never used them? Don't worry, you're not alone. I've been guilty of just the same. But today, I'm finally diving into them after they've been sitting in my stash for years. If you're new to safety joints, or if you're like me and just haven't tried them yet, stick around because I'll be showing you how I use them and we'll learn together from my mistakes. I hope you will enjoy this video. I have started yet another project, and it comes from this book, and I chose this cute little character. His name is Benedict the Shrew. Isn't he so adorable? He reminds me and Miko a lot of the mole from the boy, the mole, the fox, and the horse children's book. And he's so super cute. I love his cute little Sherlock Holmes looking detective outfit. Now, I started making him with my usual 4-weight acrylic yarn, but quickly found out that it was coming out way larger than I wanted. So I switched over instead to my newest favorite cotton yarn, which is Hobie's Friends Cotton 8-4, which is a fingering sock weight 100% cotton yarn, and I used a 2.75 millimeter C hook. Check this out, guys. Here's my project, and it's pocket size in my hoodie. One of the great many reasons crocheting amigurumi is awesome. I'm working on a shrew, which is a mole-like creature. And this was suggested by one of our viewers here on this channel. Thank you very much. And I'm really excited about this pattern. He's coming out super cute, and I cannot wait for his clothes to come on. But I'm working on the leg, and this top portion is going to be closed off, and then you attach it onto the side like so. Normally, I would sew it on and the leg would be fixed in this position with no movement. If I were to move it, I'd be stretching out the stitches and compromising the integrity of the attachment. So because this leg is being closed off, I thought this would be a great pattern to use my safety joints. I've had these in my stash for a while, but I've never used them before. They're basically safety eyes, except instead of the purpose of eyes, they're safety joints. So think of this as the eye with the post, and then this is the safety washer that goes in the back. So it's a two-part, just like a safety eye, except it's used for joint purposes. So I have this larger one. It looks like it would fit, but really it doesn't. Because once I start putting it in and I start stuffing it, the sides are going to come in and it no longer fits. And this would start butting up against the sides, and I don't want that. I want it to be still soft and squishy. So there's got to be some movement. So I'm gonna go with the smaller one, which I think is a better fit for this leg. When I stuff it, it'll still have some cushion without feeling the edges of this washer. Now how it's gonna work is I'm going to, and I'm not sure which way is proper, but I'm going to put this on the inside of the leg, and the post is going to come out on this side. And then on the inside of the body, I'm going to attach this. So this post is going to go through the leg, through the body, and inside of the body, this is going to attach and secure both layers of fabric together, allowing the leg to articulate like so, which I think is a great idea. I've never done it, but I know that's what these body parts are for, and I'm kind of nervous but excited to try this method. I think it's a great idea and a great option to add to your amigurumi arsenal, and I think it's just a matter of trying it. I think once I try it, I don't think I'll be as nervous anymore because I'll have done it and I'll know what to expect. And if it's a success, then I might be incorporating it even more into my creations. So one thing that I did notice, however, is I am using a light, I believe, fingering weight, sport weight yarn with a 2.75 millimeter hook. So they are super tight, small stitches. And if you look at this post, it's pretty thick. There is no way I'm going to get this post through these holes here without damaging the fabric. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to frog it back. So if I put my joint here, now this is the approximate placement of where I want my joint to be. I'm gonna have a few more rows here where it's going to be closed off, but let's see, I think this is where my placement will be. So if I remove this and I'm gonna eyeball, here is where the center will be. This is where I will be frogging back, and I will intentionally create a hole in the fabric here. How I'm going to do that is I'm going to actually skip a stitch or two, and I will determine that when I get to that point. I'm going to frog it back, and I'm going to play with the idea of one skip stitch and two skip stitches to see how big my hole is. I don't want the hole too big because then I don't want to compromise the safety joint from coming through the fabric. And I do want it snug, but I do want it big enough where I can successfully pull this post through and still be snug and safe for the joint to be in there. Now I do have a 3-step process where I attach my safety eyes. I'm going to follow the same 3-step process to attach these safety joints as well. So I think this is where I'm going to create the hole. So I'm going to frog back and create the hole in the fabric, and then redo the rest of the leg, and then attach my safety joint on the inside, stuff it, and then stuff the leg and close it off. So wish me luck.
It's not that you're timid, no one could say. Choosing to walk with the gale. What shall we call us? Hobos per se. We'll find that out on the way. So let us just do, my love, and not stop thinking of this over. Let us just do, my love, and see where this road will take us now.
So with the idea of attaching the leg to the body, I'm going to have to frog the body all the way back to the area where the joint will be added, because I will also have to be making a hole in the fabric in the body as well. So that's a lot of undoing on my work, but I really want to try this and see how it works, because if it does, I think it's going to be a game changer in my amigurumi creations. If it really does work out and I love the effects of it, I can totally imagine me incorporating these joints a lot more in my creations. So I just really need to get through this one project, see if it comes out successful, and then go from there. Before I get to frogging, I want to actually determine where on the body I will be frogging to, because once I get to this section and I frog it all the way back, it'll be harder for me to determine where exactly the joints are going to be inserted. So now is the time for me to determine that. So I'm gonna just use either pins or needles to kind of determine that. So the thing about this is I really have to get the placement right. And if I don't, the leg placement will look off. There's really no adjusting once I attach the safety joint in there. The leg's going to be there. It's not like I'm sewing on the leg. I can remove it and then reattach it like this. This is pretty much one and done deal. So that's the downside of this, is trying to get this placement right. So I want to make sure it's on the same round. I also want to check placement. This one's here on the side, this one's a little far back. So I'll need to check from different angles to make sure I'm happy with the placement. Again, this one's a little further back than this one, so I'm going to move it just a little forward. That looks a little better. Let me just do one more adjustment here. See how I like that? I think I like that better. So now I'm going to put this on and see. Okay, I think this looks good. Actually, hang on. I lied. I think I'm going to move this a little forward and this a little back, just because of the pot belly shape here. So let me just move this one forward and this one back. See how I like it? Okay, I think that's a little bit better. Now, again, I'm not going to know for sure until I make my second leg. So I'm going to make my second leg and then audition them on the sides to see how I like the placement. So I'm not going to frog the body just yet. I need to work on the second leg for now. This is how far I have the second leg going, and I'm going to get it to this stage of the leg and then re-audition it onto the body. Now that I have my two legs, I have them at the same level and I have my inserts here. And I want to audition them where I think they should go onto the body. As I mentioned before, placement is really crucial here because once you attach it, there's no going back without ruining your joint parts as well as a leg. You're gonna have to, frog it back and take it out and redo. It's just a lot of hassle. So this placement step is very crucial in the success. So I want to try and audition it, but it's a little hard because the post is so thick. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to remove this and replace it temporarily with a pin. And I like using these wooden pins. They're really great. They're super long, unlike these metal ones. I have different metal ones. So these are sewing pins, I believe. And so are these, but these are a little bit longer. And then I also have these super long ones with thicker pins. But I used to use these a lot until I found these. And what I like about this is that it's wooden and it has friction, and the friction comes into play because it helps the parts to stay, whereas these, I found that if I turn it or I move it, it can easily fall out. So I really love these wooden pins. So I will stick it in here in place of the joint, and I will stick it in between here where I think my joint will be. So I'm going to remove that and stick it in, and here we go. Now we have a temporary mock-up of where our joint will be, and I will do the same for this side. And then I will, because the attachment is there, I'm going to try and pin this as best I can, how I think the leg will lay. So I'm just going to use some additional pins. This time I'm just going to use the metal ones because They're super quick and easy to just pop right in there, and I just want to see how the leg will lay. Okay, so this gives me a little better idea of how the legs will lay onto the sides once I insert the joint. So I'm going to look at it at different angles to see if I like the placement. And I'm gonna take my time with this, really take my time. If I need to adjust it by 1 or 2 stitches, I will do so, but now is the time to do it. I'm looking at the shape of the belly, the placement of the stitches to help guide me as far as placement for the legs. What's funny is I just noticed I have the legs on backwards. So here's my belly and my legs are pointing this way. So I've got it backwards. So again, this is why we take our time. Wait, let me just shove that in there just for placement while I replace these and put in the right leg. All right, let's try this again. Whew. All right, so I'm going to pin these again. All right, reanalyze. I think I'm pretty happy with the placement. All right, so now is the time where I'm actually committing to this placement. Hang on. Let me try and move this one more forward. See how that looks. And you can always play with placement. At this stage, at least. Once you attach it, there's no more playing without loss. Either part loss, time loss, effort loss. Okay, I think I am happy with this placement. All right, so I'm looking at my foot here and it's pointing inwards, whereas this one's pointing forwards. I don't think it's the placement of the leg. I think it's just how I flattened it here. So if I were to play with it, manipulate it, yep. So it's just a matter of how my foot is being flattened onto the body is going to manipulate how it sits. But if you think about it, it's not going to be attached other than this one area. So the placement of your hole is basically going to determine how it lays on the body. So if I take these pins out, and what I can do is I can temporarily stuff it and see how it lays. So why don't I go ahead and do that right now? I'm gonna leave this pin in here because I do wanna keep the placement of the leg. Because the question here is, how is the leg going to look? Is it going to look pigeon-toed? Is it going to be pointing forwards? And again, it's all about the placement of where you put that hole and where you're attaching the joint. So keep that in mind when you're doing this joint attachment. There's a lot involved to it. It's not just a matter of inserting it and putting it on. Okay, almost lost it there. All right, so also another thing to keep in mind is I'm not going to be stuffing this leg this much. It's not going to be this fat. Not like other body parts. It's going to be a little more flat like this. Like I really stuffed the bottom, but the top will be a little more flat as opposed to round. Yep, something like that. Again, this one too. Let me pull some of this upwards. Okay. And if you're working on your first project like I am right now and you find that the placement is off, like I'm finding that this toe here looks like it's pointing outwards, and I had already placed the hole, you just kind of have to ask yourself, well, you're this close to the edge where you can just undo and replace the hole. You can just easily do that now, which is why we're auditioning and playing with placement here at this stage before we commit and we start attaching things. But yeah, this is how it's supposedly going to look, and this is how it's going to work, which is pretty cool. I like that idea. Yeah, I don't know if... I feel like if I move the stitch one more over, it'll be pigeon-toed. So I think I'm just going to keep it like this. I think that's just how the stitches are laying, because in crochet your stitches sort of lean towards the right, and I think because of that lean it's giving that illusion that it's pointing outwards. I think that's just my theory, but yeah, I think I'm gonna go with this and just run with it and commit to it already. Just commit to it already. Okay, so now that I've said I'm going to commit to this, I'm going to make sure that I mark these stitches here. I don't want to lose that because, like I said, placement is crucial. So when I get to the body, I'm going to have to frog it all the way back to here. Create the holes, and then right now I can go ahead and continue on with my leg by securing the safety joints, stuffing the legs, and closing it up. I was going to do my 3-step process where I secure my safety joints and safety eyes. The first process is where I glue the parts in with the fabric, the crocheted fabric, and then I secure the washer behind. And after I secure the washer, I'll melt the post down, and then I create like a mushroom cap on top of that end of the post to create a locking mechanism. I talk about that in one of my other vlogs, and I will have that link down below in the description box. But this time around, after stopping and thinking about it, I don't think I'm going to do the 3-step process. Instead, I will be omitting the gluing part, because if I were to glue it, I think I'd be limiting my mobility. That means that this post would be glued to the leg itself, and so it would be kind of like this, as opposed to if I just left it without being glued. This can move independently of the leg. And I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm thinking for mobility purposes, that might be a good thing. So right now the leg is moving, but the joint is not. And I want to encourage more mobility. Now, the reason why I do the whole 3-step process is to secure the safety eye or the safety joint. But for the joint, I'm thinking I don't have to do the glue because of the mobility issue. So I think for the joints specifically, I will do a 2-step process. No glue, just the melting down the post and then the mushroom cap on the back. I think that's what I'm going to do proceeding forward from here. Okay, so I frogged back to where I needed to in order to create the holes in the fabric. And here are the holes. And that was by eye, right? You saw me do it. But as I was building the fabric back up, I realized, and I forgot about this in the pattern, is the pattern does specify the center stitches, and these are the center stitches. So I can use this as a guide for the placement of my legs. So here and here are the original placements of my legs, and as you can tell, it is not centered according to the center of the body. So I did a little bit of experimentation, and I moved, if I were to move the holes 4 stitches to the left, which is where I indicated with this pin here, and I move this 4 stitches to the left, which I indicated with this pin, it is much more centered to the center of the body. So again, I'm going to have to frog this back and shift these holes that I've created in the fabric 4 stitches over to the left, and then build my fabric back up. So this was a lot of trial and error and learning for me. But again, whenever you're doing something for the first time, this is what's to be expected, and we can't exactly be too hard on ourselves and fault ourselves, because sometimes I feel like whenever we encounter things like this, it sets us back so much so that we kind of just abandon ship and we just give up altogether. But I don't want to encourage that. I want to encourage perseverance and moving forward despite our challenges that we face. And so I'm going to do just that. I'm going to frog back yet again, readjust, and then move forward from there. Okay, I finally made it all the way back. So here's the new center This is the back. And then here's the placement of my new holes. And I'm pretty happy with the placement. It's looking pretty central to the center of the body. And I'm just gonna keep moving forward. Very happy. So I just realized after I snapped everything in, so my washers are secured. I'm not even going to attempt to try and take that off. But I just realized I need to still crochet these legs closed. So tip is, make sure that you finish off your leg before you do this part. I'm going to have a difficult time getting through this. I'm going to have to go all the way around in order to finish both legs. So learn from my mistake. This is the current status of Benedict the Shrew. Right now he is at a halt because I don't have the ribbon detail that goes to the top of his hat, which ties the two flaps together, and I believe it also connects the two front ends of his little shawl looking coat thing. But what I wanted to share with you in this whole process was, and this was a really interesting learning process for me. I have made a lot of mistakes, and that's not such a bad thing because I did learn a lot from it. So if I show you at a certain angle, my legs are actually floating. Normally, I like to place my legs lower on the body so that it's in line with the bottom of his buttocks. So right now, if you look at it, the legs are sort of floating. And so it's too high. I did place his tail okay, but if I were to do this again, I would really have to, and I do normally take this into consideration when I attach the legs per my normal method, but because I was doing a different method, I totally didn't think about it, and I didn't consider the placement of his butt. So it is floating, and because of that, it doesn't support his body upright very well. On top of the fact that because the legs are movable, that too plays a part in him not being able to sit up right on his own. So that's something to think about. I think even if I were to have it attached lower, I think I would still have that problem and he'd still flop over forward. So maybe that's something to think about as far as maybe weighting the body if I'm going to be using this method of using the safety joints. I don't know, but I'm really loving the way that he's looking, and I love the idea of using the joints. It's just unfortunate that I did place it a little higher, but I think he's still stinking adorable. I mean, I can't wait for him to finish. I'm going to go to Hoblobs when their yarn spools are on sale. I'm not sure when they go on sale. I have to check out their sales ads, but if anything, I just have to wait 1 week, if even that. So yeah, this is my Benedict the Shrew, and he is looking super, super adorable. And look at his cute plaid outfit. I don't even know what to call this. Stinking cute. I love that printed gingham detail. I love plaids. Such a big I am such a big fan of plaids, stripes, polka dots, and florals. So here he is. Hi, this is Editing Gayle. And there was one more thing I wanted to mention that I forgot to mention earlier, and that is that the placement of the piece with the post that goes on the inside of the leg, I would rather have, after having done this whole thing and learned what I learned, I think I would rather move it further back, closer to this end of the leg, as far back as it will go. So right now it's kind of, let's see, I think it starts here. It's right around here, but I know that I can fit it further back even more by like 2 or 3 more rows, and then it would articulate even better. Because if you look at it, I don't like the placement of it. I would rather it be higher up than lower, because then it has this hump on the top, and I think it would be better that way. So I'm gonna try that next time in my second experiment. I mean, I might have to go through this whole process maybe 2 or 3 times before I really figure this whole thing out, but I think it's definitely worth the effort. So what do you think of Benedict the Shrew? I absolutely love him. His articulated legs really give him so much more posability for imaginative play, and I'm excited with how he turned out. But of course, I learned a lot along the way, so here are a few lessons I want to share. First, I'd move the joint placement further back on the leg to make the connection to the body more natural. Second, I'd place the legs lower on the body to prevent them from floating and help support the upper body. Third, I definitely consider adding weights to the bottom of the body when using safety joints in the legs. The jointed legs don't add much support, so the added weight will help keep things in balance. Next, some safety joint posts are thicker, so you might need to adjust your pattern to accommodate the post by creating holes in both body parts. One more thing, take your time with placement. Once the washer secures the joint, it's tough to remove. Using the pattern to guide you will help with finding the center of the body and getting everything in the right spot, but it might take some trial and error. And lastly, looking back, I wonder if a larger safety joint might have worked better for Benedict. That would give a larger surface area for the leg-body connection, so that's something I'll probably be experimenting with in the future. But most importantly, have fun with it. Experiment, make mistakes, and keep learning. Let me know in the comments if you've tried them and what you thought of them. And if you haven't, would you give it a try after watching this video? Let me know down below in the comment section, and I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!